Just wanted to say a couple of things about the Institute for Progress. We're a centre-right think tank here in Queensland, and we're based in Queensland, but we see ourselves as having an Australian focus, and we specialise in particular areas we think are being neglected, and you've got a couple of documents on your seat which give you some idea of the sort of policy stuff that we're pushing for. The idea of a think tank is you're somewhere between a political party and a university. So you're not afraid to have ideas, which universities aren't, but you're not afraid to get out there and lobby for them. So that's our role in life. Before we eat, the Australian Institute for Progress, that word progress has gone walkabout on us, I think, and these days when people talk about progressive policies, they're often policies that are anything but progressive. We started a tradition at the McElwraith lecture. One of the things I have a difficulty with these days is the acknowledgement of the traditional owners of the land, and I have a problem with that for a number of reasons. One, it's often perfunctory. It's let's tick the box, bit of quality assurance here, no idea who they are. Secondly, it treats them as symbolic rather than human. The Aboriginal history of this country is complex. We don't know that much about it because it's hidden in the mists of prehistory, but it's almost certain that the Jagera tribe, who are the tribe who had this area and both north and south of the river, the Turrbals, you hear mentioned that was apparently a dialect within the Jagera. They almost certainly weren't the first inhabitants of this land. People walked over this land all the way down to Tasmania, and other people came and pushed them out, which is very similar to the sort of immigration we've seen all across the world for tens of thousands of years. So there are people that I hold in high esteem, people like Neville Bonner, who was a friend of John Howard's. I know he was a friend of mine and also of other people in this room. A great man. People like Warren Mundine from the Bundjalung Nation, which is just south of Brisbane. And for those who are interested, the Bundjalung think they came here 11,000 years ago. So it's almost certain they settled land that other people had at the time. People like Jacinta Price in Central Australia, who are making great strides in trying to improve a lot of Aboriginal people. People like Noel Pearson. Don't always see eye to eye with Noel, but he's someone who certainly has the right sort of principles at heart. So I want to recognise that those people were here first, that we've come and occupied the land, that settlement has in the history of mankind been the most common form of conquest. But also want to acknowledge the people who've made this society the sort of society it is, where we actually look at rights and wrongs. The society that Western civilisation, something else I know which is dear to Mr. Howard's heart, has built. But simple ideas like that you should be able to keep what you earn, that everyone has intrinsic worth as an individual, that you have the right to talk truth to other people and they don't have the right to stop you doing it, that those sorts of ideas lead to the sort of society we've got today. I like to say grace before a meal. I understand we're in a secular society. So I'm not going to say a religious grace, but I just want you to think and pause about the meal that we're about to eat and just how miraculous it is that this stuff turns up on our table in the quality and at the cost that it does today. And it's all because of those simple ideas. And when you look around the world, the countries that are trying to do better, they're looking at what we're doing and saying, how do we do that? It's a system which rests on trust. It's a system which rests on an invisible hand that parcels these things out to people without people having to think terribly hard about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's progress. That's the sort of progress that we're in favour of. And I think that's something we can all say amen to.